Okay. Hey, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me okay there. For some reason, it's looking like the chat is disabled. Let me see what I've done here. There we go. Bear with me, I'm new. Okay. So, welcome to another developer hangout. I'm basically just kind of chilling, working on some stuff, answering questions. If you guys have anything that comes up, let you know a little bit about what's been going on, what we're working on. So, we're currently looking into making some ease of use improvements with the game client and the marketplace. We've also got plans to set up a free to play in the game, so everyone can have a chance to hop in. Make sure I got everything here. There we go. All right. So yeah, I was planning on doing a little bit of some demo stuff with some blockchain interaction and stuff like that, and unfortunately, I didn't have enough time to get too much prepared. So I think for now we'll close out of this, and let's go to our back end. See if I have anything here that we can have a look at. Show you how some of these things work. Let's see. Here we are. Here's a decent example. So with this code here, I was trying to find out who held some specific tokens, how many they had, and whatnot. So the first thing we need to know is what contract do we want to interact with, and get the contract address. And then we also need the ABI. So the ABI is kind of the descriptor for the smart contract, and it lets you know what methods are available, what you can do with it, and that sort of thing. And then the last part that we need is a node for the blockchain that we can connect with. So we would go in, and I have things set up in environment variables to keep them protected, make sure people don't access things that they shouldn't. And we basically take this Matic RPC node and we create a new instance of Web3. So we're using the Web3.js package. I believe Web3.js or the people that work with Web3.js also have a Python package. There's other packages out there as well, like Ethers is another popular one to be used. And so there's a couple of different ways that you can set those up and interact with the blockchain. So in this case, I've taken a node from LOCGame, and they're a provider, LOCGame and Fura. There's a few different ones out there, but LOCGame has been really good, really reliable, fast, great for me to use. So we can take that and we can basically get our connection to the blockchain, and we can start making requests and looking things up through that. The other thing you might want to do, and what we do on our marketplace, for example, is when the user comes in, they can connect their wallet, And now we use that wallet as the provider, so we can interact with the wallet and they can make transactions. We can read from their wallet to see what tokens they have to be used in the marketplace or in the game. They can make a purchase, transfer, things like that. So in that case, you would do it a little bit different depending on the setup that you have. For something like MetaMask, it's injected from the browser. So you would have that basically come in and be seen in the browser, request the connection, and if that's approved, it would give you back the provider that you would pass through into Web3, and then you're good to go. Then your next setup is here, where you're taking your ABI, again, basically kind of your blueprint for your smart contract, and you're passing in your contract address and creating an instance of that contract that you can interact with. Then we take all our token IDs that I was looking at, and basically wanted to go through and look at, in this case, I started and I was looking at each block from when this contract was created and looking for a transfer event, looking at the past events here, which is one of the methods that you can use. And we're looking for transfer single, and basically just going to loop over each block, having a look if it has an event from the contract we're looking for. If it does, we're going to check to see if those return values have any of those token IDs. And then we're just using a JavaScript map here to go through, and we're looking to see if the owner of that is already there. Then we're going to get their information and just add one to it. If they're not there, then we're going to create them and start them out, and basically just loop through. Once that's done, then we're able to gather all the information for who has what tokens, how many of them. And then I just had it written out to a file, which, there we are. So I went through to see which of our tokens out of our Wolf of Crypto collection were out and what wallets they were in. So if it was in waiting to be transferred to somebody on purchase, or if someone was holding it, it comes in a little bit uglier looking. And then I ran some other stuff there to parse it out and match everything up. But that's kind of a basic interaction with blockchain. You can also, if you set up your contract and your Web3 environment in a certain way, you can add accounts in. So that's how you would handle things like minting NFTs. So you would take your admin or your minting wallet that has that access to your contract, and you could bring that in through the Web3 package or the other packages as well. And it has the approval then to call methods such as batch minting, regular minting, things like that. It can assign roles. So those are all the different sorts of things that you can do. And for contracts that are out there, if you go to something like Polygonscan, for example, we can have a look at ours. So when you come over, if you click on the contract tab, it'll show up and you can see all the code. So you can, if you want to, you can examine exactly what's going on in here. Oh, it looks like they've got a beta feature here to actually open this up in VS Code. That's kind of nice. Make it a little bit easier to read. Also on this screen, if you wanted to interact with a contract, but you didn't have the ABI, if it's been verified and is shown up like this, you can come down and the contract ABI is here. So you can export it. You can do it as JSON format, raw text. You can just copy and paste if you want to do that right from here. And then you have that to put into your code so you know what all the different functions are. For certain things, there's standard methods that you can work with. So like for an ERC20 token, you can get a standard ERC20 ABI. But if that contract has implemented some other logic, then you might need to like you wouldn't know about that without the ABI and how to interact with that, what it requires. So yeah, then from here, if you have this available, again, the contract needs to be verified before this will show up. But then you can come in and see, okay, so all of the read methods, these are all calls to the blockchain just to return some information. So you're not writing anything. There's no gas fees involved. And you can come in and do things like balance of. So if I come over and grab my wallet, and we query, we can see that I currently have 105 NFTs in my wallet. If I come over and switch to a different wallet, and this one doesn't have any NFTs in it on this particular contract at all. We can do other things like extracting card ID from a token ID. So if we hop over to the marketplace, and let's grab token ID, pop it in there, and then you can see it's taken off the unique counter portion of the ID, and it's just showing us the actual token ID itself that would represent this character in the game. Oh, I just noticed for some reason my camera is not working, so you guys can't see my smiling face. All right, we'll have to take note of that for next time. So if I go quiet, I'm still here. I'm just thinking. So yeah, some of the other things, we can do things like get a total supply. We can get an edition set cap. So for example, edition 3, Apollo edition, you can see that that's capped at 14,000 NFTs. Once this is set, it can't be changed in our particular contract. So basically, we've said when we looked at this edition, this is the number of NFTs we're going to have. We set it. If we reach this number and we try to mint any more, it's going to cause an error, and that transaction is going to get reverted. So it's ways that you can build that sort of logic into smart contracts to, depending on what you want to do. We've got get role for the admin. I'm not sure actually about that one because it has your roles listed here where you can check. So if we copy the minter role and go to the has role, we can paste that, and then I can grab my wallet address again and put it in, and we'll see that it's false. So my wallet can't mint NFTs off of this contract. So this way here, we can have a secured wallet that is only used basically for minting. Make sure that private key is safe, and it's the one that can interact. The same with the admin and things like that. We can also do things like owner of. So if we grab the token ID. So this is similar to what I was doing in the code that I was showing there. Basically, we were checking to see who the owner of this NFT is, and it'll give us back a wallet address. And then if we wanted to, let's see, I don't want the link. We wanted to check and see what the balance was for this user. Do that as well and see that they have 5 cards in that wallet. So we got some other stuff in here. Symbol is just the symbol that's going to show up. Token by index. If you didn't know what was available and you wanted to see what tokens were there. This is another thing you could do in code where you just looped over. So you could say at index 1, at index 2, and work your way up to, index 200. And eventually you're going to hit a number where there isn't anything. So if we said like 16,000, then there's no index there. So if we said 14,000, now we're getting one again. The thing to remember too, in our particular contract anyways, we have the additions. So this addition is capped at 14,000, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there's only 14,000 NFTs total, because our model is built with separate additions as well. So we could look at then, say, edition 1, our original Genesis edition, and it was capped at 9,000. So in our particular contract, those are the types of things that you can see. You can also get the token URI. So, oops, that's not what we wanted. So the token URI, this is going to give you a link to the metadata, and we can copy that. Sometimes Brave opens these nice, and sometimes it is ugly. So we'll see. Yeah, this is kind of ugly. But this will give you kind of an idea. Actually, you know what? Let's do Firefox. Copy this. See my security cameras. I live in a little bit of a different neighborhood. So yeah, here's a little bit better look of the metadata. So this is what's used by markets like our resale marketplace, OpenSea, the different NFT markets that are out there. So they can see things like the name, where to find the image for the card, the description that shows up on the card, and then it's a standardized way to do your attributes that they're looking at. So we have things where you can tell it what's the trait. It's the edition set, Legends Awaken. What's the trait? It's the pack, and this is from the starter pack. The game rarity, it's a bull. Visual rarity is standard. And then we have our attack types down here. So this display type is letting OpenSea or other platforms know that this is a different type of attribute, like basically how they're going to break down and display it. So it can go through and kind of parse through those things. Hello, welcome to the stream. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm just kind of trying to keep the developer hangouts as just sort of a chill, Q&A, see what's going on. If you guys have any suggestions, feel free to let us know. Some of the best things that we've come up with, our community suggested, and that's always welcome. So yeah, that's the metadata there. I don't know that all contracts have this. I know at first I don't think we had this implemented, where it was the tokens of owner. And this was a really nice way, instead of having to loop through all of the tokens by the index for an owner, which we have as well. This would give us back a whole set of all the token IDs. So if I did it for, where was that wallet address here? There we are. If we grab that, and we see the 5 token IDs that user has. Yeah, total supply, that's going to be the total number minted to this point. So again, this is for all the different editions, not just one specific edition, because they do have the different caps on there. So that's all on the read side, the different things that you can find. Actually, one of the other ones I should have shown you here as well is the is approved for all. And I believe it was get approved. So the is approved for all, this is what's being used when you're interacting with an NFT marketplace. So what would happen on our marketplace, for example, is it would have a look, and if the particular owner has allowed our resale marketplace contract to make transactions on their behalf, then this would come back true. So actually I can, owner is, get my wallet there. And then, I don't think the back end has anything to do with that. So let's close that. Get the front end. Actually, I need production. There we are. So we'll get our NFT marketplace address, and then we can see that's true. So my wallet has said that our marketplace is allowed to make transactions on my behalf. Setting that up is coming from the right side, where you can approve things for token IDs. You can do your transfers. This is where I was talking the mint. So you would give it the address to mint to, the token ID that you want to mint. So basically on our system, when you place an order, when we see that the payment has been made, we go look that order up. We see what we need to produce, and we mint the tokens then and send them directly to you. This is where we can set the cap. So we would give it an addition number and the cap and rate that. And then again, once that's set, it's set. There's no changing it. You can come in and grant the roles. So we talked about the admin role and the minting role. So you can add other wallets in if you want to give other people access to do things. Or if you found out that something was compromised or you weren't sure, you could go in and you could add a different wallet in. And then you could come down to the revoke role and you could revoke your old wallet and do things like that to keep everything safe. You can also, if something changed and you had to change that base URL for the metadata, for the metadata that we looked at, you can do those sorts of things in here as well. A lot of this stuff in your kind of basic logic is all going to be similar based on your token type. So like an ERC 721, there's going to be lots of standards that are set. Libraries like OpenZeppelin you can use to kind of get your foundation, and then you can go and build the custom parts in that you need to do, and then what information you need to save and that sort of thing. And that requires a lot of considerations too. Your gas prices are going to be affected by the amount of information, the type of information. Like saving strings on blockchain is quite expensive. Integers are easier to work with, faster to work with, so therefore less gas and that sort of thing. So yeah, this is the kind of the right side. There's not nearly as much over here because you're not doing as much, but the transfer from, this is where like the DEX contract would then be able to come in and transfer from you to someone else with the token ID with your approval and that sort of thing. So when you set it up, you can also set up events. So we go in, and when someone sets approval, if we're minting things, if there's a transfer done, any of that stuff, it can set off events. And then that's what we were looking at in the code. We were actually looking at past events for a transfer. and you can, again, some of those are standard, some of those are things you can set up yourself. And then you can look at the different properties to be able to track things. A lot of the centralized services that take away some of the barriers to blockchain, like Morales. I think even Alchemy might have some stuff that they do, basically to speed things up and make things a little bit easier to work with. A lot of them will be listening and reading each block as it's mined, and then they'll make those updates in their database and kind of keep track of everything there. So instead of having to go to the blockchain all the time, you're able to look it up. I believe that's the way they're set up, but don't quote me on it. Speculation. So yeah, that's kind of the basics of the contracts. You can see the different transactions and things, and whether it's an ERC20, an ERC721. I think 1155 is another common one, and that's kind of a combination of you can store ERC20s and ERC721s. So that's this is all kind of stuff that I'm just learning about as well. I've basically been more web developer, marketplace focused, and as I grow and learn new things, I'm learning the actual contract side of things as opposed to just interacting with them too. So lots of great information out there. Changes quick, but yeah, definitely an interesting space. Let's close that. All right. I know I saw that we had a request for some game development stuff. And again, I was going to try and put together a bit of a quick demo, because again, that's something that I'm slowly getting into as well. But I ran out of time on that, but I can talk a little bit to it. We're developing our game in Unity. Nice thing about using the game engines like this, they take care of a lot of there's basically the ability to use some of their pre-made libraries to handle things like physics and different things like that. So when you go in, you don't have to figure out all the really complex stuff. So let's see. Ooh, I thought I had done this already. Sorry, I managed to wipe out my system a couple weeks ago, and I thought I had this stuff reinstalled, but apparently I didn't. So shouldn't take too long. It's downloading. So when you come into the Unity Hub, you'll have a list of your projects, which, as I mentioned, because I've managed to wipe out my system a couple weeks ago there, I haven't got it back in here yet, but you'll have to also install a version, which is what I've got going on in the background here. And then you also need some sort of code editor, and depending on the platform that you're on, you can either use, or most people will use Microsoft Visual Studio. They have a community edition that's free. So as long as you're not using it for commercial purposes, you can get that and use it. Or you can also use VS Code, which is what you have to run if you're using either Linux or if you're using Mac OS. So you are able to work cross-platform with Unity and develop different things. It also has the ability to build in different platforms. So I don't know why it disappeared here. Hi there, welcome to the stream. Okay, it's still in progress. But once they're installed, you can go into the settings as well, and you can add different packages. So you can have builds for Windows, builds for WebGL, Android, iOS, Linux. There's all sorts of different things that you can add in and set up to work in different ways. So for our game, we're currently using WebGL, iOS, and Android. And the Android APK, I believe, is available on our site under Game Overview, if I'm not mistaken. Check this out here real quick. Yeah, so if you go to lockgame.io and under the play menu, you can go to game overview, and we've got a link there to the WebGL version, and there's also a link for the Android APK. So we are in the process of getting everything set up so we can get approved for the Play Store and also for iOS. The iOS stuff, unfortunately, right now is only available for specific beta testers on their system. It's a little bit of a different setup there, so we're working on getting that all set as well and getting everything in place that we need. And I don't know why this isn't showing up for me like it was, but the unfortunate side sometimes of trying to run Microsoft software on a Linux machine. But that's all right. There's not a whole lot to see in here. Basically, once that editor is set, then this kind of just works as sort of a kind of common spot to come in, look at your different projects. You can There we are. You can have different editors installed as well. And then if you go to add modules, this is where you can come in and say you want WebGL support, you want Android build support, Linux support, and that sort of thing. I'm not familiar with the Mac side, but I would assume it's probably the same as on Linux. You install Unity Hub, VS Code for your code editor, and the .NET Core SDK for Linux, I believe is what it's called. And that way there you can interact with the Microsoft.NET framework and be able to test and run things and that. And then then it's just a matter of going in and either creating or opening a project. And I'm just gonna make some space here. Let's see. I thought. There we go. As I said, I'm very new to Unity. We've got people on our team that are much better at this than me, and we'll see. We'll try and get a time set up in the future that we can get our game developers on here as well, and they can definitely answer some questions if you guys have anything. There we go. So my system's a little bit different. I am running Linux, and I use a tiling window manager, which works different than a regular desktop environment. Um, and apparently, Unity is crashing on me. There we are. So yeah, then when you come into the Unity editor, then you have your scenes, uh, And this is kind of a pre-made template for a platformer 2D style game that you can start to play with. You would come in and you can find your scene, and then you get your inspector, and you can all sorts of different things that you can set and do in here without having to go into code. And then when you're ready, you can go into code, and it'll open up into VS Code, where you can go ahead and work in there and design things out. So as I said, with when it comes to Unity and game development, it's all very new to me. I'm just learning. But if it's something that you guys are interested in seeing, I can talk to the guys and see if we can set up a time that works for everybody to hop in and maybe do a brief kind of overview of how things work and whatnot. And yeah, kind of let you know what it's all about and what they use and things that they find useful and whatnot. So let's get out of there. So yeah, as I mentioned, I don't really have a script or anything like that. Hopefully, you guys that have tuned in live are finding it entertaining enough, and anyone who checks it out after the fact, if any questions come to mind, reach out to us on Discord, Telegram. Say, hey, I saw Jay. I got a question for him for the next stream. I'm gonna try and do these bi-weekly and hop on for about an hour or so. If there's lots of questions, I may stick around. It's all gonna kind of be very easygoing, laid back. We can look at things that you guys are interested in. As I'm looking into new libraries that we can use to improve, maybe we'll do some demos and experimenting with those. We're currently looking at a couple of different solutions for different ways to make it easier for users to log in and access things and interact with wallets and whatnot. So yeah, as I experiment with that kind of stuff, if you guys are interested, we can kind of learn together on it and see where it goes from there. I guess we've got a little bit of a time left before I've got to jump off. So I'll just talk really briefly about kind of my development setup and how I like to work. I use VS Code. It's become pretty much a standard for web development and lots of other development as well. It's really at its core, it's just a text editor. Anything that we're doing in here, you can do in any text editor. Notepad on Windows. If you're a Linux user like myself, something like Vim, you can work in there. There's lots of other IDEs that are available as well, but VS Code is just one that everyone started to adopt and build all sorts of extensions for that basically just kind of makes life easier. So this is what I'm using now. I'm playing with some other stuff as well, but this has kind of piqued my interest. So when you come in and you open a project, you'll get your Explorer with all the different files that are involved in your project. And we've got some search functionality, so we can come in and you're able to search in a specific file or through the whole project if you're trying to find something, which is really handy. Then we've got source control, and source control is very important. There's a program called Git, GIT, and it works as a means of version control where basically it keeps record of all the changes that you make through your code. And as you go through, you can commit those changes. And if you do something that doesn't work out the way you had hoped, you can roll back changes. If you're working with teams, it comes in really useful. If you're working by yourself, it comes in useful just to kind of keep track of things. So you would commit things in, you'd add messages there to let either your future self or your team members know what you've done and what it's kind of what's happening. And then there's also services like GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, These are all online repository hosts. So you can take that code repository that you've created with Git and tracked with Git and push it up to an online source. So for our workflow, we would go and pull down any changes before you start your work, and then work on whatever feature you're working on, and then push those changes back up and do what's called a pull request. And that's basically where you're saying to the rest of the team, here's some changes that I made, review it. And if everyone's in agreement, then we can merge those things together. And then it will merge that code. And basically it's built in now to the original branch. So you can branch things off so you don't affect other things as you're building features and do your proper testing and whatnot. So that's a little bit about version control. The extensions, this is a great part of something like VS Code or some of the other code editors that are out there. You can bring things in that'll do basically like code formatting. So if your indentation and brackets and that are all out of place, it can fix that sort of stuff up for you. You can get things like GitHub Copilot that does like an AI pair programming. I played with that for a little bit. It actually it bothered me more than it helped me, so I shut it off. But you can also get like language support for Golang, JavaScript, and TypeScript. There's things here for Kubernetes and Docker, for MongoDB. It's incredible some of the things that are put out. This Remote SSH and Remote Explorer, this is all part of the development containers that they've built in right into VS Code. So you can actually work on your code base in a Docker container. And the advantages to that is you have very specific control over everything that's set up in that container, and then you can deploy it in the same way. So sometimes what will happen with development is you build it on your machine and everything works great, and then you ship it out into production and it falls on its face. And this could be because of different versions of software. So in web development example, if the Node.js version that you're running could be different, and that can cause a problem. If you're running multiple things on a server, you could have one application that requires one version and another application that requires a different version. So you would get conflicts. So when you build in containers and deploy in containers, you avoid all that because you're keeping everything in its own little basically custom virtual machine. So that ability to build that way right on your local machine is all set up in here as well, and you can take advantage of it. There's different Solidity and other libraries have things like the styled components. This is something that I use in React to build my components out. And this does some syntax highlighting and code suggestions and things like that. So it's really made it nice from the old days of sitting at basically at a terminal and just typing in text and hoping for the best and reading really cryptic debugging errors to where you have some really great IntelliSense and that sort of thing. So some of the extensions that I use, this MongoDB extension is fantastic. It basically saves me from having to jump out to another application to do quick queries and that if I want to. So I've set up my connections here, and I can just connect, and then I can pick my database and create a playground. So it gives you a sample here, but we'll switch this out. We'll say LOCGame dev, and then need all that. So let's do database dot. What can I show you here? If we did card dot find, and if we say that the set is 005. So this should be, whoops, this should be our edition 5 cards. And we can run that. And then it returns back all the cards that we have that are in edition 5. So this is going to be things like our starter pack and story mode pack are in there. So you can manipulate the database here if you need to as well. So if I had to update a bunch of things in one shot, we can do that. We can go in and say we had to reset a bunch of values for something. This is more so in development. So once we get to production, it's usually tracking things that are important for us to keep accurate. So, but in development, if I said, okay, we have a limit set that we can only sell X number of packs, and through my testing, I've purchased all those, then I can go through and just basically say on all the packs, I can find many and update and set them all back to 0, that sort of thing. So it's a nice little extension to have. It's doable with other things, but with this, you don't have to hop out and go anywhere else. Similarly, the Kubernetes, you can come in and you can see your different clusters. You can connect to different clusters. Down, hopefully this, yeah, that looks like it's visible there. You can change your current namespace as well. So what Kubernetes is, it's basically clusters of Docker containers, and you can use this for scaling and distributing applications. So on our marketplace, when we deploy our back end, instead of just one server that has to handle all of the requests coming in, we can run 6, and they all kind of run together and work together. And when we do that, we set that up on a cluster. And when we make that deployment, we set that up in a namespace, so we can, again, keep things separated. And, one cluster can support many things. So we have a cluster that runs our marketplace and our game backend, and they each run it in their own namespace, so you can interact with them independently. And it's a big, long command to set your default one, or you have to type it in every time. But if I'm working in my integrated terminal over on the side anyways, I can just come down here and type in the namespace that I want, and I don't have to remember what that long command is. So it's little cheats like that allow you to work quicker and be more efficient. It's always nice things to have. And then I believe, yeah, I need to reinstall some stuff from when I lost my system there, but different containers that you have downloaded in that can show up in here as well. Docker is a similar sort of thing. Again, I haven't set this back up because I don't use it all the time. But when you want it, it's very handy to be able to go in and just visually see these things, especially if you're new to it. It can be a bit of a crutch that maybe you want to avoid a little bit till you know what's going on. But it can also be kind of a godsend when you're not too sure what's going on, and you want to just be able to visually see if what you're trying to do is correct. So, hey, Alexander, welcome to the stream. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm just kind of babbling on and talking a little bit about general development and kind of my setup, my system. So if anything comes to mind, feel free to ask in the chat. And the last one here is AWS. So I can go in and pick a profile. Then I can have a look at AWS, what we have set up. So right now I'm connected to Frankfurt, European region. I can come down, for example, and look at Lambda functions. So Lambdas are serverless functions, basically that you can call to without having to run a whole server. AWS kind of takes care of that, and then you can run small functions basically just through API calls, and it works out nicely, especially if it's something that you don't need live constantly. So if it only needs to be used when someone calls it, you're not paying for that service 24 hours a day. It's just basically a pay-per-use. When that endpoint gets hit and it runs some code, you're paying for that compute time, and then you're good to go. So you can also use that in conjunction with other services. So like one of the things that I've set up when you sign up for our marketplace, if you sign up with email and a password, but then you sign in with your Gmail account with the same email address, if you don't link those together, you can either end up with two separate accounts, or depending on the order you do it in, you can end up with errors that say that the email already exists. So the function that I built, if you first sign in with your Google account, it's going to set up an email and password account with a randomly generated password for you. And then if you decide to use that, you would just do your, you would just basically say, forgot password, and it would email through the code to reset it. And then if you sign in with your Gmail, you'll go right through. If you sign up with email first and password, then when you sign in with your Gmail, it sees that you already exist, and it simply links those identities together. So it's a nice way to basically keep everything all in one. Hey, Top Gun, how are you? You made it. If you have any questions or suggestions, feel free to let us know. For anyone who doesn't know, Rainbow Top Gun, great supporter of our project. And yeah, he's been fantastic. So lots of great input. Let's see here. So yeah, that's kind of the Lambda functions. We use lots of different AWS services. Let's see here. Too thick to be able to ask anything worthwhile. It's all good. It's all worthwhile. You're here. You're showing your support. It's much appreciated. And yeah, hopefully you guys can take something away from this. If it's just a curiosity, I know myself, I love learning new stuff and kind of tinkering and seeing how things work. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do. And if everyone's enjoying it, then I'll keep doing it. So it's a good time. But yeah, talking about the AWS stuff, lots of different services there, and ways that they work to build in security and efficiency, scalability. So that's it. As you grow, you want to make sure that you can handle the traffic and that sort of thing. So yeah, that all sorts of different stuff. S3 buckets are a great storage mechanism. We actually store our front end websites in the buckets and host them through a service called CloudFront. And that has the ability to kind of distribute the access globally. So instead of just having an endpoint, say in Europe, in Frankfurt, where most of our services are set up, when you hit the endpoint, it's going to direct you to the closest ones. They kind of duplicate everything through North America, Europe, Asia, and it helps to reduce latency. Make your request time shorter, that sort of thing. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff. API Gateway is another one that we use, and it's basically a way between our login system and the API Gateway, we can set up checks and balances to make sure that that the people making the requests are legitimate requests. It's not malicious. So it's just added security layers, and then it also goes from there out to that distributed system. So the request basically can be sent to the API Gateway, and then it can say, okay, which server is really busy and which server isn't. And I'm going to send it to the server that isn't all that busy. So again, just to make things more efficient, speed things up. So yeah, that's kind of some of the AWS stuff. If you guys are interested more in that too, by all means, let me know. We can hop into the AWS console at some point and have a look at what's going on there, and all the different services that we use, and the way that things work. But that's kind of a brief overview of my development environment and kind of what I work in day to day. Aside from this, lots of other tools that we use as well. Maybe it would be a good idea to make free access for the game for beginners and sell them rare cards. We're actually working on that right now. We are testing a beginner deck. So basically, we're going to create a free 15 card deck. So when users log in, they're going to have access to that. They'll be able to experience the game. They'll even be able to use that deck to play in the story mode and earn LCs. That being said, it is going to be a beginner deck. The stats on it aren't going to be fantastic, but we're hoping that this way here, it's going to allow users to hop in and actually experience what the game's all about, earn some LCs, look into like the friendly matches and the arena PvP. Before you got into too much of that, I would probably suggest buying some better cards to get in, but at least you'd be able to, see what we're doing in there and kind of how it works. And so, yeah, that's definitely something. Hopefully, within the next couple of weeks, I'm hoping to have that tested and ready to deploy out. So I know the game developers are working hard on it, and we're looking at trying to get the attributes on that deck set well enough that you can still enjoy playing. But to also to it is a beginner deck. It's not meant to be able to completely conquer the friendly matches and that sort of thing. So keep it fair for the people who are buying the cards and making the investment in as well. But yeah, the play to earn and that is all coming along really well. We're working hard on that, and hopefully we'll have some better timelines lined up. Probably towards middle to end of next week, trying and get some things lined up with some of the features we're working on to show you guys. We're looking into platforms for tournaments as well, which is going to be really cool. We've also been looking at platforms for a chat in the game, so we can have that interaction in there while you're playing with somebody. You can chat back and forth and that sort of thing. So there's all sorts of fun stuff that we've been working on. So hopefully you stay tuned and keep an eye if you're in our Telegram or our Discord. We're always trying to keep everyone up to date there as well. So if not, feel free to hop on there, and let me try. Sorry, I'm a little bit new to OBS and getting everything set, so I promise I'll get better at this. It's just going to take me a little bit. You know what? I'll pop the loading screen back up there for a minute. But you can see the invite link for our Discord and our Telegram group. We've also, you can follow us on Twitter. But yeah, if any of those socials, if you keep an eye, I know that the marketing team will be definitely announcing when we have that free-to-play version ready to go. And then, of course, all the other fun stuff that we're working on right now. So yeah, we're also just to give you a little bit of a sneak peek. We're working on making some enhancements with the leaderboard. Also working on like a quick match. So right now you have a friendly match where you can invite your friends. But we're working on a system to do a quick match. So if none of your friends are online, you can still see who's online and get matched up with other people. And then, you can wager LCs in that as well. So working on that. We talked about the tournaments and that. And then for the future, we've started to explore some really cool things like ways to earn special abilities, and ways to grow and basically evolve your cards and whatnot. So some really cool things coming in the future. Also looking into a collect to earn option where we're gonna have the ability, if you have a selected collection of NFTs, that there'll be some rewards there that you can claim. So lots of really cool stuff coming. Hopefully you guys are as excited as I am, because I'm having a blast. So, all right, let's switch back over here. Let's see, what have we got? A little after 12, so I think just about going to wrap it up. If anyone has any other questions or insight or anything you want to know about, like I said, feel free to get in touch with me on Telegram, on Discord, reach me on Twitter at jthedev4, and yeah, I'll do my best to answer whatever questions I can, to kind of show you guys a little sneak peek behind the curtain of, in my case, mainly web development, but we can get the other guys to pop in and show us some stuff as well. Yeah, well, I'll give you a couple of minutes here for the chat to catch up in real time to see if there's anything else. Basically, just a little bit more about my setup, my system. As I said, I run Linux. I use Tiling Window Manager, which is nice. I can do things like pop open multiple windows and a lot of keyboard centric kind of stuff to move around and be able to do different things. So it's just kind of to speed things up and be efficient. I can flip between virtual workspaces real easy, which is kind of cool. So I use a tiling window manager called i3, and I'm running Manjaro Linux. It's a rolling release distribution, so it's kind of like constantly updated. So I've learned the hard way to make sure I back things up really well before I do updates. I've had some times where you try and do things and they blow up. But yeah, lots of fun with that. Aside from that, I run a multi-monitor system. So if you guys, once I figure out why my camera isn't working, and you can see me again, sometimes I'm staring off into different directions and looks like I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I've actually got 4 monitors set up. So I generally have one that I'm working on, one where I'm previewing what I'm building, one for reference material, one for whatever else I may need. Usually it's something like Discord and Telegram are open on it. So if either the team or anyone in the community's looking to get in touch with me, it's there for me to have a look at. And yeah, I've basically got my little setup down in the basement, plugging away, building some stuff that hopefully you guys enjoy. So it looks like we got a couple more questions here, and then we'll call it a day. My cat did something great. Mint a free NFT, which could then be burned for another card. Okay, cool. Is that that's kind of something that we're thinking of, and it's still in the planning stages as far as the evolution of cards. So we've talked a little bit about like a temporary thing that you could kind of win as a reward or unlock as an achievement, where for a certain period of time your card would have some special ability. And then we have also looked at the ability to possibly either burn a card or a combination of cards or something to merge them into basically a super card type thing. So those are some of the ideas that we're playing with. Like I said, it's very early sort of discussion right now as far as how it will work and whatnot. Because we also have to kind of keep the balance in mind and make sure that it isn't going to allow somebody to just completely annihilate everyone else. But yeah, it's definitely the possibilities are just incredible. We're also actually looking at some rental platforms. So we've had some interest from different guilds and whatnot, and with tournaments for someone who's a little on the fence maybe, or maybe they don't want to buy a pack right now, but they still want to play in a tournament. Having the ability to where our community can actually deploy out these cards on a rental contract, and then people can go in and borrow them for an agreed upon fee, whether that's like a flat fee or a fee based on time or whatnot. And it's really cool that you can kind of do that and hop right into the game and play. So let's see, what about the Metaverse land sale? It already being developed. It's Metaverse stuff is more in a planning stage right now. We're focusing on getting Legends of Crypto kind of sorted and that free to play version so people can experience and see what's going on. So yeah, we've got the Metaverse and Cryptice in some planning, as well as a couple of kind of casual fun game ideas that are just, if you're sitting waiting for the bus or something, a quick little casual game to have some fun with and that. So definitely lots of ideas that we're kind of working with and figuring out things that that we can basically build to have fun. That's what it's all about. So I know every time I hop in and test some stuff, I usually end up with a smile on my face, whether it's because I did good and I finally won a match, or just laughing at how horrible I can play sometimes. But if you can't laugh at yourself, what's the point? So I know when I went on and played with the beginner deck for the first time, it took me about 5 or 6 rounds to win a match. I went, oh, I think this might be too hard. And then I gave it to the rest of the team and they were like, oh no, I breezed through it. It was nothing. I was like, oh, I'm just that bad then. So if you ever see me online and you want to play, you'll probably do well against me. So you go easy on me. Is the addition of special effects to the cards a possibility? Are you talking about like a visual effect or like special abilities in the gameplay? I'm not sure if that was something that they had discussed as far as in the game. Um, as far as the NFT itself, I've seen some stuff where there's either some animated video or different effects in that in some other projects. My concern with it was file size, with transfer and that, but we've been seeing some things that make it quite doable. So that's actually kind of a cool idea, where you could get those sorts of things and have them display in the game as well. So see, this is why we ask you guys to come around. You give us all sorts of fun ideas to play with and experiment with. So I will definitely bring that to the game guys, the game design guys and the artists, and see what we can see if there's something we can do with that. I know we have some different like animations and things for like for your elite cards and legendary cards and whatnot. We're actually working on some in-game achievements like that as well. For example, like if you can win the game ending up in the center square, it would end up being like a special win and some different things in the game where you have multiple attacks and stuff like that. So it's a bit of a work in progress, but we're hoping within the next little bit to figure out exactly what the plan is with that and how it's all going to work and keep building. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for today. Thanks everyone for coming out and getting involved in the chat and having hopefully having a good time with me. And I'll work on getting my setup here a little bit better so I can switch screens and actually have my camera working and you can see my smiling face again. for the next time. But yeah, I will. I'll probably try and do, as I mentioned before, probably try and do a biweekly developer hangout. We'll see. It's a little bit tough sometimes because we are spread out around the world. So we've got people in Europe, in Africa, in Canada. We're kind of all over the place. So finding a time that works well for everybody, and then also for the community to hop in, can sometimes be a little bit tough. But by all means, reach out to us. Let us know. If you say, hey, I'd love to join, but I can never make it because I'm in such and such a time zone, let me know. Maybe we can adjust things a little bit if this works good for everybody, or you want to check it out on the replay afterwards. That's an option too. And then, as always, like I said, reach out, let us know, any issues, any ideas, stuff like that through our Discord, through our Telegram. And it's always great to hear from the community and see what we can do to make our product better. And because, ultimately the goal is to build something that everyone can have some fun with. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you so much for coming out and putting up with me for the last hour and 15 minutes. And I look forward to seeing you all on the next one, guys. Have a great day.